Well, Bold has done it again. They have a new phone, the N2. It's been a while since we've seen a phone from these guys. The N1 came out a couple of years ago. Understandable, the last 2 years have been kind of a disaster, basically everywhere. So they have risen from the ashes with the N2. Introductory price $249, which I think is actually pretty good for this phone. You'll see in a minute, it actually looks gorgeous. Like, it is a straight up gorgeous looking phone. And if you find that you want to buy one, I've got a link down in the description. You can go straight there and click on it, and it'll take you to Amazon. You can pick one up. The regular MSRP is $350. So it does get a little more pricey once the introductory pricing goes away, but I think it's a solid device, and a big thank you to the guys over at Bold and Blue for sending this out for me to check out. Now let's go ahead and get into the unboxing and full review of the Bold N2. Now, it's been a long time. I kind of wondered if we were ever going to see another Bold phone again, and here we have the Bold N2 5G device. So they made a lot of changes, a lot of advancements since the last Bold phone. Really nice boxing, really probably the best packaging they've ever had here. And one thing I really like about them, they do outline what you get in the phone, the specs on the back here. So we're looking at a 6.6-inch full HD plus AMOLED display, not an LCD. Got an AMOLED here. It's got a 2340 by 1080 resolution. So that's 393 pixels per inch. That gives you 1080p plus. So you get a full HD plus resolution, Gorilla Glass 5, which is really nice for these guys, and a MediaTek Dimensity 810, which I'm actually really happy about this. I'll talk more about it later. Plenty of power and sophistication. 5G speeds and connectivity, 2.4 gigahertz processor, 64-bit technology, 256 gigs of internal storage. That's really good, and 8 gigs of RAM. So you can see you've got some pretty good top quality specs in here. So you get a 64 megapixel plus depth sensor camera setup. That way you're going to get those true to life, much better bokeh, real bokeh effect photos. 5 megapixel wide angle. You get a macro lens camera with 128 megapixel super zoom on here. And you get a 16 megapixel selfie with the 2 megapixel as well. That's going to help out with the depth sensor and give you better bokeh shots. 4200 milliamp battery, 30 watt max charging, which is really nice. And you get an in-display fingerprint sensor. It's running Android 11 out of the box. So let's go ahead and take this out of the box and see what all we get here using our handy dandy unboxing tool. Make sure I don't cut myself. It's a heavy duty sticker they got on here. We'll put that up, safety first. Let's see what's in the box. I'm really intrigued by this. And here we go. The Bold N2. Boldly go where only one other Bold phone has gone before. Ooh, I like this. It's actually got a leather back on it. That's a big surprise. And it actually feels like nice leather. This is not like cheap garbage stuff on the back here. Sometimes phones, they put the leather on the back and it just really doesn't feel that premium. I like this a lot. Now, we've got the camera setup here on the back, which actually looks really nice. You got a whole lot of lenses here, and you got the LED flash. All that looks nice. Volume rocker button, power button, nice tactile feedback. Screen protector already installed. This kind of reminds me almost of like the Honor Magic series phone. It's got the dual camera setup here, the little robot Android eyes in the top left. Also kind of reminds me of the old S10 and the S10 Plus where it had it over there on the right. So that's a nice little setup there. We've got our speaker on the bottom. We've got our SIM tray down there. USB-C for charging. It's got a nice, this is the best curved edge display that I think that they've ever put in a phone. They definitely were bold with this device. Hence the name implies. So here we have our accessories. We got our USB Type A to USB Type C charger. So you get a charger in the box. And then what else do we have here? We have a adapter. So you've got a headphone adapter in here as well. There's no headphone jack. So this, I think, is the first Bold or Blue phone to not have a headphone jack. So you got the adapter there. Plug your headphones in on the bottom. It still comes with headphones. So you're covered there. So you do have some headphones. These are actually USB-C headphones too. So that's cool. You don't even need to use the dongle. That's nice. You got a power brick, which is something that you get with basically no phones anymore. So you got a power brick. Got your Bold labeling there on the side. 5 volt 3 amp, 9 volt 3 amp, and then 10 volt 3 amp. So variable charger here, up to 30 watts max. That's really good. You get a Bold swag sticker, and then we've got our SIM ejector tool here. And one thing that I've been doing here lately with my unboxings is I want to take out this SIM tray. so you can see what you get straight out of the box, what kind of SIM tray capability we have here. There we go. So it's actually a dual SIM. So you can put your SIM 1 in there, your SIM 2 in there, and it's even got the little rubber seal around it. So I didn't see anything about actual IP68 or 67 on it, but that does indicate that it at least has some level of water resistance. And of course, it would not be a Bold phone if it didn't have documentation, or if it didn't have a case. So we have this fancy case already in here to put on the phone. Ta-da! Straight out of the box. And that's actually a pretty nice case. Nice, durable, rugged. Kind of has that carbon fiber texturing look on the back, even though it's not carbon fiber. Recessed protection for the camera there to keep it safe. And then you've also got the reinforced bumpers in case you drop it. And then it's got raised bezel protection on the top and the bottom to protect your phone if you place that down on a flat surface. So everything you could possibly need inside the box here. And it looks like there's no expandable storage that I can see as well when it comes to this one. So it looks like we just get the SIM card. You can put 2 SIMs in there, and that's probably why they added the 256 gigabytes of storage on the phone. So let me go ahead and fire this up. Power button right there with the Bold logo. So let me go ahead and get this set up, and we'll come back and we'll finish the rest of the review video on this phone. Well, here we are with the Bold N2, and this is a Bold phone from the guys over at Blue. They have their 2 different brands. Bold is their, as the word implies, more bold, more forward-looking in the design department, and it looks shiny. I mean, it looks good. This is definitely the most premium phone ever made by Bold or Blue, either one. So I was very surprised. I took it out of the box, and it had this cypress teal leather on here, which is the only color. It also kind of hints at no IP68. I mean, no IP67 either. You're not going to throw a leather phone in the water. It's actually kind of a neat workaround, I think, because it gives it a more premium feel, but also it makes sense that it's not waterproof because it has a lead back on it, right? So at this price point, MSRP $349, the introductory early bird pricing $249. I think it's a very good phone at $249. Hardware-wise, you got the Dimensity 810, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. You got a big, beautiful 6.6-inch AMOLED display, full 1080p plus. It's got a lot going for it. 4200 milliamp battery. It comes with the charger in the box, 30-watt charging, all the accessories you could ask for. And that stuff kind of adds up. You get the dongle if you don't want to use the headphones that are included in there. You get the the earphones. You get the charger, the charging cable, the SIM tool, the case, the screen protector. That's one great thing you get regardless of whether you get a Bold or a Blue phone. And I think that goes a long way, especially for people who know the brand and appreciate and expect that, especially whenever you get new phones like, let's say, the Z Flip 4 or the Z Fold 4 that came out yesterday, $999 or $1799, and don't come with the charging cable, don't come with the case, none of that crazy stuff. So at the lower price point, when you buy a phone that's $250 or $350, you want everything to be in the box. And that's exactly what you get here. So that's a leg up for them, and I do appreciate that. Now, a couple of things here. It does have 5G. I've tested it on T-Mobile. T-Mobile, you get 5G. Of course, that means it'll also work with Metro by T-Mobile and also Mint Mobile. And you can see I've got my SIM card in there right now. 5G works out fine. Call quality is good for those of you who are asking about it. The speaker handset's good. Microphone pickup's good. That's nothing you're going to have to worry about here. So I always get that question even in 2022. It makes phone calls well. I thought it had stereo speakers before I turned it on because it does have a very, very obvious speaker grill up here. And I thought it was kind of a dual speaker. It's only a single speaker, downward firing on the bottom. The sound is good for a single firing speaker. I would like to kind of see stereo speakers at this price point now. I mean, if we're talking about an upper scale, $349, I know it's on sale for $249. At $249, you can go, okay, well, maybe one speaker is okay, but if you get this for $349, the expectation is kind of there, especially when you look around, you especially look at phones like Poco and Xiaomi. They're making $200 and $300 phones that have stereo speakers, 120 hertz refresh rates. Those are overseas though. That's international. That's not here in the United States. You can pick this up here in the United States. It'll work here on the carriers, at least AT&T and T-Mobile. And you may even be able to find this from Best Buy at some point in time. I'm not sure. If you go into Blue or you go into Best Buy, they do have certain phones on the shelves. I don't know what the plans are for this one, but you can totally pick it up on Amazon. And I've got a link below if you want to pop on and grab that. This is an affiliate link. Help support the channel. If not, search it up on Amazon. Go for it to your heart's content. So the phone itself, Android 11. And this is something that's probably going to be criticized heavily. But I do have a point of contention I do want to make here. Not an apologist point of view, but Android 12 had a lot of problems. And in some phones, it's still having problems. And Google themselves has had a lot of problems with Android 12 from the get-go. Android 12, when it launched, caused problems with Samsung. It caused such severe problems with OnePlus, they had to roll back to Android 11 and get it fixed before they could relaunch it. And then for the longest time, if you look at Xiaomi, Redmi, Poco, those guys came out with MIUI 13, making it seem like it was like a newer version, but it really wasn't. They were still using Android 11 before they went to Android 12. So Android 12 wasn't the greatest version ever. And a lot of people even questioned, they said Android 11 was so good, why do we need to change things and go to 12? Of course, we get the new version every year. That's what you're probably going to be stuck with on this. And I hate to say that. Hopefully at some point in time we'll see Android 12, but there's no guarantee. It wasn't in any of the materials I got on this phone with the promise of that in the future. So when you buy this, know it could only get Android 11. But I think some people who pick this up, one, might not pay attention to Android versions. If you pay attention to Android versions and updates and all those other things, you're probably looking more at like a Samsung phone or something else that's out there comparable that gets longer support, like a Google phone, like the Pixels. A lot of stuff this phone competes with doesn't have great security updates, like Motorola. They might give you 1 year of security. They give you, I think, 1 year of operating system, 2 years security patches, and that's hit or miss. One thing I was reassured by is this one actually launched with a July 2022 security patch. So this isn't one of the phones where you take it out of the box and it's months outdated on the security patch and you don't know when the next one's coming. So I do appreciate and respect that. 64 megapixel camera on the back and then a 5 megapixel ultra wide. You get a 2 megapixel depth sensor and a 2 megapixel macro. And I was surprised. Normally, the 2 megapixel macros don't take very good photos. It's something that a lot of phones kind of tack on there just to have that extra camera and it sounds good. I really wish everybody would just avoid the 2s and give everyone a 5 because the 5 megapixel macros are actually pretty good in some cases. With good lighting, I was able to take a couple samples here. You can see these macro shots. I took 2 that I'm posting in this video, and they were first-time shots. I didn't have to take multiple shots. They actually look pretty good. Also, I've got some other shots here. And then you get the selfie camera, which is 16 megapixel with a 2 megapixel depth sensor as well. That depth sensor is on the front and the back to give you added effect and better bokeh shots. You know, the nice ones with the blurred out background that look more rich and you like really stand out in the image. That's what those are for. If you only have 1 or 2 cameras and you don't have a dedicated depth sensor, what you get is that's based off of the phone and the system on a chip is making artificial bokeh. So when you get that dedicated depth sensor, that's what that's for. It does show up. I mean, I think that it takes okay selfies, even in portrait mode. I think they're doing a pretty good job. Blue and Bold, both alike, are pretty good about putting decent cameras in their phones, and they realize people are going to use that for TikTok and Instagram, and just generally, when you have a smartphone, you like to take photos. I mean, who doesn't like to take photos? So I think that they complemented this phone pretty well. There are areas that it could improve, of course. There's no 4K video taking capabilities. It's locked at 2K. And let me go ahead and show you. Here's a video clip I shot with the selfie camera so you can see what the video capabilities are like on this phone. This is a video test with the Bold N2. This is the front-facing selfie camera, 1080p, which is the highest resolution that it goes. You're hearing the built-in microphone. There's a little bit of a light breeze outside that might be picking up on the microphone, but otherwise, I think it's okay. This is something for about a $300 phone. I think it's going to be serviceable enough, especially if you're doing stuff like TikTok and Instagram Reels, which are really popular now. And then the selfie camera itself, I think is okay. But I just wanted to show this off real quick so you can get a good feel for what you can expect with this camera. So yeah, you can see that I think it's pretty well rounded. It's not the greatest in the world. When you look at stuff at $200-300 price points, really, they do throw a couple cameras in there, and that's pretty much any brand. And this one I think is on par with the industry, which is not a negative thing at all. They're just fine, but you're not going to get an iPhone or a S22 Ultra quality camera in a $200-300 phone, right? That's not what they're for. It's a budget phone. The idea is you're going to use this for probably a year or two and then probably get another one. And if you want something that's going to last longer, then you probably ought to look a little bit more expensive. I know that like the Samsung Galaxy A53, a lot of people seem to like that one. It's probably pretty comparable in some areas, but it does have 120 hertz refresh rate and it has a bigger battery and it has 5 years of support. So that's an option there if you want something kind of in the same class of premium. Actually, this is more premium to me than the A53. So I think the build quality, I think this leather here, I think that a couple other features on here are pretty darn good with 256 baseline storage, 8 gigs of RAM. There's some good things going here, but it's like kind of a trade-off trying to determine exactly what is the right fit for you. Also, when it comes to the biometrics, you do have an under-the-screen fingerprint sensor. I think it's pretty reliable and it works pretty well. It's not the fastest on the record books, so hold your horses there, but it does seem to be reliable and more accurate than what sometimes we got with the Pixel 6 when it started off. So I think it's pretty good for a $200-300 phone. And then you also have facial unlocking technology, which you can see works nice and it seems reliable and works well also. So you're covered in the biometric department. In the connectivity department, it has Bluetooth 5.1, so you can listen to your Bluetooth wireless headsets and things like that. That's good. Sadly, it doesn't have NFC support, meaning that you're not going to be able to do your wireless contactless payment methods, which have become so popular over the last few years. Really wish that was in here. Unfortunately, it's not. And that's not something you can add on after the fact. So hopefully, maybe when we get a bold N3 in the future, it'll cover that. But as of right now, this one does not have that. I think the screen is one of the best parts about this phone. I think it's the best screen that Blue or Bold have ever put in a phone before. The only complaint I have about it is the haptic feedback. It's a little soft. Like, it's not very succinct and sharp when you type on it. So it feels a little bit kind of like a dull vibration. That's just, I use a lot of phones. I really care about tactile feedback. It's not the favorite typing experience for me, but you can adjust the haptic sensation. You can turn it off in the settings if you want, and that might make it better for you if that suits your fancy. But that's really about the only complaint I have about the screen. It's nice, it's vibrant, it does have a big cutout there. They really want you to pay attention to the camera there. Reminds me a lot of like the S10, S10 Plus, or even some Huawei phones. It's very popular with like little robot eyes, the two cameras there. I think that it's a pretty decent phone. Now, of course, there are areas that could improve. Again, wireless charging, IP68, longer support. So if Blue or Bold, you happen to see this, those are things I think that people want. But people also want an affordable premium phone. You don't want to go buy a phone that's $200 or $300 and it feels like a cheap piece of crap. And a lot of times over the last couple of years, that's really what was synonymous. If you wanted to get a $200-300 phone, $199, $150 phone, yeah, it might have one or two shiny areas, but typically they weren't super high quality. And this is definitely the most high quality, best put together, best looking phone I've seen in the $200 to $300 price category. So major kudos there. Good buttons on here for the tactile feedback, volume up, volume down on the rocker, the power button. It's great having the case inside of there as well. And the battery life, it should last you pretty much all day. The Dimensity 810 is a good, very balanced chipset. I'm very happy to see Blue and Bold out of that old MediaTek G90 series processors. I've been saying this for a long time, and I talked to them. And if you're, of course, I'm sure they'll be watching this later. Thank you. We appreciate that. The Dimensity 810 is a very solid chipset. I've checked it out in other phones. You can do some light gaming with it. You can play PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, pretty much the regulars, and you'll be able to play them on lower settings. You're not playing on max settings, 60 frames per second, all that crazy stuff. That's really not what this is designed for. And if you do play a lot of extended gameplay, that will eat more into the battery. But for normal use, normal social media, all that stuff, you should be good for a day. I don't really consider this a 2-day phone. No expandable storage, that is another ding, and I think that's why they give you the 256 to start with, the 8 gigs of RAM. I think you're pretty well loaded out here if you want to grab it, especially at that lower price point of $249. If you can get the early bird pricing, or if the early bird pricing is gone, they bump it up a little bit. Anything under $300, I think is a good deal for this phone. $349, I think is a little higher considering some of the things that I would like to be in there. I'm not going to be a snob over the 60 hertz. I think 60 hertz is perfectly fine. It looks really good on this phone. And there's not an expectation for budget level phones to have a high refresh rate. Some people will say, oh, this phone is terrible. You can't recommend it. It doesn't have a 90 or 120 hertz refresh rate. Nobody in the $200 or $300 price category is expecting that. And it's a good experience. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. That's all I got with this video. A lot of stuff that I've covered here, but I think if you want to pick it up, if you can get that early bird pricing, that's going to be king for what kind of experience you get with this, because I do think at $250 it should sell well, and I think that's a very good price for this phone. Again, $350, a little bit more on the expensive side. Once you get into that, I really would want more commitment for having software updates, and if we see a Bold N3 in the future, maybe that's something that they can work on. But Again, I tested out AT&T. You get 4G LTE, no 5G. T-Mobile and their subsidiaries, you're going to get 5G. Solid connection experience. And it's got band 71 and band 66 for more rural areas that have deployed more of that 4G LTE connection extended network over the last year or two. So I think you'll be good there. That's all. I'm going to shut up now. I think it's a gorgeous looking phone. So that's all I got. If you have any questions or comments, please go down to the comment section. I will get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.